Alrighty, well, good afternoon, Middle Georgia. We're just back to doing another update as we head throughout our Sunday. Like we said earlier, a rather eventful Sunday for us here, really starting the morning off with a chance to see that frozen precipitation, and now switching gears completely and having the chance to see some severe weather out there. So we're just going to go over the update and really just go through the forecast throughout the remainder of this afternoon, because once we make it to tonight, things will calm on down, at least in terms of seeing any of that weather. So again, right now, watching that radar, starting to see a line of showers and storms make its way over into Middle Georgia, mainly over towards Thomaston, starting to see some more of those showers. Still seeing a pretty good line embedded in this, and with seeing some more of that heavier precipitation. And then even over into the northern counties near Monticello and Eatonton, and maybe over towards Jackson, have the chance to still see a little bit of that wintry precipitation. But as we head towards the southern portions of the mid-state, you're going to notice we have this yellow outline right here into Crisp, into Sumter, and even Sly County. That yellow is going to be a tornado watch until 7 p.m. So really seeing two different ends of the spectrum, especially during this Sunday. So we're going to switch over to a radar that's going to be showing those temperatures as well. So you'll notice up towards Monticello and Eatonton, it's going to be right at that 32 degrees. So right at that freezing mark for us to be able to see potentially some more of that frozen precipitation. And that's what we've been talking about all week, is that wedge, really just how far it extends and how long it sticks around. So some of the models were showing that this would be on out of here by now, but clearly, as you can see by this, it's still sticking around for at least a few of us. So as that rain makes its way through the mid-state, still a chance to see maybe some sleet and maybe just a little bit of that freezing rain. So just something to keep in mind. But just across the board, as those showers are starting to make their way over towards Thomaston, temperature right at 37 degrees. So we did have that level 1 and level 2 risk for severe weather across portions of Middle Georgia today, especially more severe down towards Americus and Cordele. But temperature-wise, still within, mainly going to be in those 30s, a few of those in those 40s, and maybe just down towards Cordele and Vienna, right in those low 50s. So not saying that we're going to be in the clear by any means, but this is definitely a good sign seeing these temperatures staying this low, because some of our models earlier today were showing by this time, seeing a lot, especially in Macon, right now sitting at 38, but our model's showing anywhere right around 50 to 55 degrees. So this is definitely a good thing to be seeing them not very high at this moment. Lightning within these storms. So we're going to switch back actually to this other radar, because there are some severe thunderstorm warnings out there. Thankfully, not here in Georgia quite yet. They're still going to be over in Alabama and a little bit into the Florida Panhandle as well. But they are out there, so there is still going to be this risk, especially with this yellow shading right here of that tornado watch until 7 p.m. So we're still watching things, we're still keeping up to date in case anything is to change, but that is just what's going on at this current moment. We still do have those winter weather advisories in effect for those northern counties, and you'll notice it's definitely an interesting picture. This is seeing those purple right here with that winter weather advisory. Then as you head to the south, that tornado watch. So definitely a first for me seeing this kind of dynamic setting up. So just something to keep in mind as we head throughout the remainder of this afternoon. And again, temperature wise, going to be right at 32 up near Monticello and Eatonton. So could still see a little bit of that wintry mix. So let's really just kind of go through what the graph model is showing in terms of what we could see for some of those showers. Maybe still some strong storms out there, but hopefully we'll stay below severe criteria, but there still is going to be the chance. So by the time we make it to right about 2 to heading to 4 p.m., that line starting to already make its way well into Middle Georgia, maybe about halfway through. Then as we head to maybe right about 5 or 6 p.m., really starting to push on out of here. So this will be fairly quick. Right now, about 2:20 p.m. So probably within the next 4 to maybe at the most 5 hours, this will be on out of here, and could see just a little bit of that lingering rain behind it. Still not going to see maybe nearly as much of a severe threat, but more of just some steady rain to help calm things down after a really long week and just a long weekend in general. And then by the time we make it to Sunday night, heading into Monday morning, you're going to see all those clouds are clearing out of here, and things are going to really cool down. And that's going to be the big thing as we head into early next week. We're going to have that cold weather advisory for at least a good chunk of us here in Middle Georgia. And this is likely to be extended as we get closer, and maybe even as we head into our Tuesday as well, because we have the possibility to see those wind chill values from 0 to 15 degrees. So very cold Arctic air that's going to be setting in, especially once all of this system is getting on out of here. So So we'll use our temperature forecast first, and then we'll switch over towards our wind chills. But just tomorrow morning, temperature-wise, going to be right around freezing for most, maybe a few going to be in those upper 20s, and maybe a few just above freezing as well. But then as we head into Tuesday morning, you're going to notice they're really going to take a dip all across the board. Most of us seeing those teens just for temperature alone, maybe a couple still going to be in those low 20s, but regardless, Tuesday morning is going to be just downright cold. So you want to make sure that even though you might have needed to have that rain gear on standby for this afternoon, you'll definitely want to make sure you have that winter gear on standby for tomorrow and Tuesday morning. And really just all of this week, it's just going to be a cold week here in middle Georgia. So let's use our feels like temperatures. So by the time we make it to about 1 a.m. heading into tomorrow morning, already starting to see that blue wave of cold making its way here into the mid-state, and notice having more of that northwesterly flow, bringing in that colder air. So as we head to about 7 a.m., feels like temperatures tomorrow going to be in those teens, maybe those lower teens for just a few of us in those northern counties. Again, just temperature-wise was going to be in those upper 20s, but because it'll be rather windy, feels like temperatures in those teens for a lot of us. And even as we head towards those afternoon hours, right around that peak heating for us, still only feeling like those upper 20s to maybe those low 30s for some. So just again, a very cold start to our work week, and Tuesday could be even colder as we head to maybe by 1:30 on Tuesday. Already have the potential to see some of those feels like temperatures or those wind chills in those single digits. And then as we head a little bit further into the morning, right around 5 a.m., possibly seeing just 6 degrees up near Monticello and Eatonton for those feels like temperatures. So we can't stress this enough. It's going to be a very, very, very cold start to our week here at Middle Georgia. So remember those 4 P's: people, pipes, pets, and plants. Just want to make sure you have everything covered. And then even by the time we make it to Tuesday afternoon, starting to shift to more of just a general westerly flow, but still things are going to feel like those mid 30s. So as we just head on to just the general 10-day forecast, we have actually extended that weather warn day to include Tuesday morning just because of just how cold it's going to be. So again, tomorrow morning, possibility to see just a couple spots refreeze with all of this rain coming in right now, and some spots will be getting down to below freezing. But as we head into Tuesday morning, that weather warn is going to be just for the fact that morning low is going to be just so cold and even colder with all of that wind mixed in. And like I mentioned, all of next week is really just going to be cold. Temperatures 40s over our 20s, and even our warmest days on Wednesday and Thursday, a high right around 48 degrees. So you definitely want to make sure that winter coat is on standby. You've got a hat, you've got some gloves, and maybe even a scarf as well, just so you make sure you're staying warm. So that's what we're watching at the moment. I'm just going to go back, look at our Facebook and our YouTube, see if you guys have any questions at the moment. And if not, I'll just run it through one more time, give another general update in case anybody has joined in the meantime of me doing this. But other than that, things are doing okay at the moment. So just checking on some of these comments just in case. Gotcha. We still got Chief Meteorologist Ryan Sinnott here. He's helping me out behind the scenes. And we'll just go through it one more time. Again, main threat right now is still going to be dealing with some of those showers and some of those storms out there. And then once we make it past this afternoon, things will be a lot better in terms of weather, just very, very cold out there. So pulling up our radar once again, we're going to be seeing those lines of showers and some of those storms mixed in, making their way especially over into the western portions of middle Georgia. Starting to see maybe a few spots of that heavier rain, especially making through Thomaston, getting close to Forsyth and Butler, and a little bit closing in on Americus. But you're going to notice that as you head down towards Americus and Cordele, still going to have that yellow shading going on. That's going to be a tornado watch until 7 p.m. Now, as we head to a radar that's actually going to be including our temperatures, you're going to notice they're not all that warm. Some of the models earlier today were suggesting that some places, especially like Macon, could be in those 50s, and then even all the way down towards Cordele and Abbeville, maybe even close to 70. But you'll notice that's just not the case. Even Cordele and Vienna only going to be in those lower 50s. And then as we head up towards Monticello and Eatonton, they're going to be right at freezing. So there's still going to be the chance to see a little bit of that wintry mix in there. And that's because we've been talking about all week that wedge. Just how far south is it going to go and how long is it going to last? Because models don't always have a very good idea as to what those questions or how to really answer those questions. So the fact that we're still seeing that 32 degrees is not super unsurprising there. So just something to keep in mind as we head throughout the next couple of hours, but otherwise still going to see that cold rain, maybe a couple strong showers and strong storms in there. And there still is going to be the threat for some severe weather out there, as most of the mid-state is going to be under a level 1 and or that level 2 threat all the way down towards Americus and Cordele. But the fact that our temperatures are still going to be this cool is a very good sign. Not saying that we're completely out of the clear by any means, but definitely is something to be appreciative about. But as we head back to that other radar, we still do have those severe thunderstorm warnings out there, just not here in Georgia at the moment. Primarily still going to be down in southern portions of Alabama and even the Florida Panhandle. And you notice still going to have some portions in that tornado watch, and there is a tornado warning down in the Florida Panhandle. So we're still going to be monitoring this as it makes its way over into middle Georgia more and more. But at the moment, not going to be seeing any active warnings for us. But this is always an interesting picture, and especially a first for me in my history as being a meteorologist, but having these winter weather advisories off to our north and then having that tornado watch off to the south. So definitely a very interesting and complicated forecast heading into this weekend and just heading throughout today in general. Again, that tornado watch is going to be until 7 p.m., but if it gets out of here quicker than that, it will start to be expired as well. So let's just run through what the graph model is seeing as we head throughout the remainder of our afternoon. By the time we headed to about 4 p.m., start to maybe see this line already being halfway through the mid-state, and then by the time we make it to about 5 or 6 p.m., could be already getting out of here for some of us here in middle Georgia, and then behind it, seeing some more of that lingering rain, which would be much more calming to help calm us down after a rather long week of just talking about this system non-stop. Then as we head throughout the remainder of Sunday, heading into our Monday morning, things are going to clear on out of here, going to have those clear skies heading into our Monday morning. And that's going to be the big story heading into early next week is just the cold. We have a cold weather advisory out for a lot of places here in middle Georgia. And that's because wind chill values could be anywhere from 0 to 15 degrees. And that's because we're going to have those clear skies, but it's also going to be very windy heading into our Monday morning. We'll first start out with our temperatures and then talk about our wind chills as well. Temperature-wise, though, heading to about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Some places, or a lot of us, going to be at freezing and or below. So some places in those mid to upper 20s, then others down towards Mount Vernon and McRae, just a little bit above freezing. So since we are going to be seeing that rain throughout the next few hours, any leftover spots could see that refreeze as we head into tomorrow morning. So just something to keep in mind as you head out for that morning commute. But then as we head into our Tuesday morning, temperatures even lower, up towards Monticello and Eatonton, possibly in those teens, and just all across the board, possibly in those teens as well. So a very, very, very cold start to our week here in the mid-state. But now let's talk about our feels like temperatures, otherwise known as those wind chills. So this is going to be the temperature plus the wind to what it's going to feel like out there. So by the time we make it to about 1 a.m., starting to see more of that blue wave, making it into here in middle Georgia, already seeing some places maybe in those upper 20s. As we head to about 7 a.m., feels like temperatures in those teens. Monticello possibly at 13, Eatonton at 15, so just a very cold start. And even by the time we make it to about Monday afternoon, where we're going to be around that peak heating, still going to be right around freezing and or below it. So you'll definitely want to make sure you've got that winter coat all day long, just so you make sure you are staying warm. And also just make sure to remember those 4 Ps as well: people, pipes, pets, and plants. You want to make sure you might be dripping those pipes to help them to not freeze. And just checking up on your people and your pets and making sure things are all good. But even as we head into Tuesday morning, could be feeling even colder. By the time we make it to about 1:30 a.m., might even see some of those feels like temperatures in those single digits. And then by the time we reach to possibly the coldest of those feels like temperatures, many places could be in those single digits. Monticello possibly at 5, Eatonton right at 6 degrees. So that's going to be a very big story as we head into early next week. And just the 10-day forecast overall, a very cold week here in middle Georgia. We're going to see we do have that weather warning day extended into our Tuesday, and that's because of the fact of seeing those very cold temperatures out there, low right around 16 degrees. And for Monday, we've had that out since last week, and that's going to be accounting for the fact we could see a little bit of that refreezing of any leftover moisture. But throughout the week, high temperatures sticking within those 40s, low temperatures sticking within those 20s. So pretty cold here. Want to make sure you've got that weather gear on standby and have it out and ready to go. But really for the remainder of tonight, just making sure we make it through this line of showers, some storms out there. Again, still do have the risk for some of that severe weather out there, but temperature wise is going to be rather cool here for a lot of us. So that is a good thing. Doesn't mean we're completely clear of any of those severe threats, but just something to help be a little bit of a more positive light out there, because we've just been talking about that frozen precipitation, all of the consequences it could have. So just something positive to help us focus on as we head throughout the remainder of our Sunday. But that's pretty much all I've got right now. Of course, we'll be updating as we head throughout the afternoon. Of course, if things are to pick up in its severity, we'll come back on and do another update. And especially if we're to see a tornado warning, we'll be cutting into live programming, because we still do have some of our counties down to the southwest in that tornado watch. But for now, that's been the update with me, Meteorologist Noah Hauck, and Chief Meteorologist Ryan Stinnett, and we will be here at least until some of these showers and storms make it out of the mid-state. Other than that, hope you have a great and safe rest of your Sunday.